Welcome back to Ori and the Blind Forest, everyone. We are easily into our randomizer tournament here with the next match between Meldon and Brynhold. We'll talk more about them in a moment. On commentary, my name is Grimelius, and I'm joined by Ozzy. What's up, Ozzy?
I'm doing all right. I'm looking forward to a spectacular match here. I gotta say, this should be a fairly close matchup in terms of skill level, from what I've heard. So, why don't we talk a little bit more about these players?
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to arbitrarily start with Meldon, start with Brynhold, and then I'll leave Meldon for you to discuss. Brynhold is someone who is sort of, I think, an interesting case study as far as the pantheon of Ori runners that we have. Brynhold is someone who's been around for quite some time. For example, he was involved in the various All Skills tournaments and last year's Randomizer tournament, in which he didn't come out of nowhere. Like, that's not accurate, but he's someone who's not as active, like regularly active with the community as other people, and so it's always sort of curious to see him come in. And in last year's tournament, he actually knocked out two different people and lost to Muffin. With if you're going to lose to someone, losing to Muffin is pretty respectable. So that's Brynhold. He's clearly very, very skilled at the game. Of course, Randomizer may have other plans for our runners, but we'll find out. And to toss back to you, what about Meldon?
Well, for those who are not already aware, Meldon is the tournament organizer for this event. So that is probably one of the biggest things you could say about him in regards to this, but that's not to say that Meldon has more than enough seniority and weight to throw around. That I think that it's going to really help him push forward into the to doing some of the riskier strats. I would not be surprised if Meldon takes some big gambles just because he knows Brynhold will, quote unquote, not hold back.
Ha, nice one. I see what you did there. Brynhold. I mean, it's interesting, right? Again, Meldon is just intimately familiar with the randomizer. He is an organizer this time, and senior organizer, if you want to call him that. And Meldon, along with Rory, were the primary instigators of last year's tournament as well. So Meldon has absolutely been around the block as far as the rando is concerned. As you said, Meldon is certainly familiar enough and comfortable enough going for a lot of the jankier strats that are possible in this video game. As for whether he goes for them is going to depend on, it's really impossible to say in advance. It just depends on what they get.
And it's time for good luck on your rando, as the first pickup is a keystone.
Seems like almost every match has had a keystone, which is not too surprising. Getting a keystone there is pretty easy for the logic to decide on, because it's pretty easy to get two keystones and then head over to wall jump area.
And that doesn't necessarily mean the next three pickups is going to have a keystone. It just is pretty likely.
That's right. But there are any number of other pickups we could get. There's a mapstone, another early pickup that by itself doesn't give any progression, but it's always nice. And Ozzy, I think you'll agree with me from your experience in Randomizer. If we end up going through wall jump area, which, we will at some point, but especially since it's so common early game, it's nice to get that mapstone check in order to activate the pedestal in the Glades area and avoid a potentially annoying revisit later.
It's a long walk that nobody wants to go do unless you want to somehow tie in doing Glazer of all things into it. Or
hey, Glazer is great. Anyone
it's fantastic.
Hasn't seen the light yet, to catch back up on the action. To be quite honest, there's not a lot of action so far. The two pickups we got are nice. They're nice resources in the early game, if not as shiny as a brand new skill or something like that. But even in the early game, in the randomizer, we talk a lot about skills and teleporters and stuff. You also need a number of keystones, and so it can be nice to get that.
Ooh, and an early wall jump. That's really nice to see. This is going to help them much more efficiently clean up everything in the wall jump area and spirit caves.
Well, this is curious as well. What difference... That was a god-awful question. Let me try that again. We saw Meldon go into the fake flippers area, and Brynhold as well. Brynhold decided to keep his experience, and Meldon did not. So I guess Meldon, for his part, decided that the experience was not worth the time it would take to run back.
I can't say I entirely blame him. Fake flippers is kind of tricky to do if you're not comfortable with it. and you're not going to cry over losing some experience points.
No, I mean the experience just gets you some early an early level, which is fine. But there are enough other pickups in the wall jump area, and at that point, Meldon knew that he was going to be coming into this area, being given the 2 keystones and wall jump. So he was pretty reasonable in assuming he would get enough experience through all the other pickups to get some of those early levels.
Yeah, and we're going to see some classic vanilla Ori strats using wall jump to damage boost to check these areas a little faster. We're going to see Meldon go for it. No, he's going to push the rock. I mean, you can do baby iceless to get up there without having to push the rock, but
it's one of those tricks that it's barely faster if you nail it first try. I mean, I see almost every run. I don't know of any runner who goes for that extremely consistently. I'm not saying no one does. I'm just saying that it's a strat that to me is inconsequential enough that I don't see.
And double jump.
I was going to say, speaking of something that's far less inconsequential, that's pretty huge. And not only is it just huge, that's just really nice. It's so much more enjoyable, in my opinion, to move around this game when you have double jump.
It gives you super comfortable air control in a game where it's really easy just to just make a slight error in judgment in your jump, and just being able to double jump and correct it can mean the world of difference.
So let's take stock of where we're at so far, Ozzy. We've made it to wall jump tree. Most notably, we have wall jump and double jump, and now our runners are going to be faced with a split. What is that split? And it already looks like we see Meldon has made his choice.
Yeah, he's going to go up to the Spirit Caves, which I don't blame him entirely, especially now that he's both wall jump and double jump. He can check as effectively every pickup in Spirit Caverns.
Yeah, I think it's a smart play. Reminder, as always, that we are playing the clues mode in singles, which means you're sort of more advantageous, generally speaking, rushing trees because it gets you clues, but only to an extent. You get a clue every 3 trees, but apart from that, you just need a bunch of pickups. I'll point this out as well. On the left side, we just saw Meldon place a well-positioned save. The reason he did that is for, I think, a potential key dupe. That's the only reason he would make the save at that particular location on the bridge. We'll see whether he ends up actually key duping, but he set up the save there to allow himself to drop back down and do that if he wants to.
Energy regeneration, energy cell, these are nice, but haven't seen anything progression. But who knows? Maybe, especially this. Never mind, we got climb.
Yeah, climb is still not progression. In this, given the skills that we already have, climb is effectively a replacement for wall jump, but we already have wall jump. Now, climb might matter a whole lot more. It can be especially nice if you get it in combination with charge jump, but it can also be nice to cling onto walls and toss grenades if you're lacking additional forms of verticality. So it's a skill. It's not the most exciting skill, but it's something. And with that, Meldon, despite placing that save, is making the call to not key dupe, which is never in logic anyway. So far, I think we are sort of faced with a bit of a linear seed. I mean, when we went to wall jump, there was a decision whether to go up to Spirit Caverns or to head straight into Blackroot, and both runners made the same choice, which I think is intelligent. Spirit Caverns is a pretty dense area.
Mm-hmm. They did, besides climb though, they did come out of that with 2 more energy cells, so they're 1 shy of just being able to open 4 energy door and go right into swamp.
They are. It's also just super convenient. I mean, in Blackroot in particular, you always want to make safety saves, especially when you're at 3 health, but I mean, at 4 as well. It's just so easy to slip and fall in this area. And ordinarily in this area, if you only have 1 energy to save, you sort of have to very carefully conserve it in order to do a cutscene skip later. If you have additional energy cells, it's just a very nice quality of life improvement.
Yeah, luckily they've got a pretty nice barrows, not a whole lot of risk when you got wall jump and double jump. Again, just being able to correct your jump is such a really great blessing to have.
With that experience or pickup, this is interesting. It's not unexpected or anything, but we do see Meldon and Brynhold pretty much taking the exact same plays. Meldon just very slightly ahead, but in something as complicated as a randomizer, Meldon isn't far enough ahead to, or for Brynhold to be concerned. Not that Brynhold knows what Meldon is doing, but from our perspective, they are effectively tied for how close they are.
Given how limited the skills have been in terms of giving players, choices, yeah, they probably are just realizing the seed is forcing us all down this path. There's no way around it.
Well, I mean, you say forcing, and that almost sounds like it's a. I mean, I know what you mean, but it almost sounds like it's a negative connotation. In my mind, this is a seed that I think both Bryn and Meldon would welcome. They know that it's a seed that you kind of just have to optimally jump around and try not to waste too much time, but otherwise it is quite linear. As far as there's
Yeah,
really only a handful of spots that experienced runners would go, which to be honest can feel good because you sort of don't worry about making the wrong decision. I mean, how could you make a decision that's that wrong in this seed? You just don't have enough options. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I should probably have worded that a little better because I don't think any runner in this tournament would ever complain about going through these areas with wall jump and double jump. It's super nice to have. And there's Bash. Holy crap!
This is
So
a
where is Dash?
well, this is a really nice pickup for Meldon. Whenever you get an early pickup like this, which is this valuable, I always like to point out to people that this is not a competitive advantage for Meldon. It's certainly a very nice skill to have, but Brynhold is going to get that. I mean, he's running over there right now. This is a very common check. I think Meldon maybe took a quick slip, but then he got his ability cell, and he is actually deciding to keep it rather than reloading his save, which will be near to the double jump tree. With this, we may see a different split on our hands. With Meldon alt-Ring and getting out of Black Root, he will have to revisit there later, and Brynhold is probably going to exit and reload. Yep.
Yeah, you can live without one ability cell. We're gonna go see ahead some of these double jump pickups, and it's another energy cell we have access to right to the 4 energy door now. But it looks like Meldon is going to take this opportunity to use his keystones and go right to the spirit tree.
Well, and can you quickly run us through why do you think that Meldon is making this play rather than doing what Brynhold is doing?
Well, for one, I think he feels like there could be something that is over in Charge Tree, Charge Flame Tree. There's 2 pickups he can get there. He can't open the plant currently, and there's also 1 pickup above over in the tree. So that's 3 pickups. So he's gambling on something
Well,
beauty there.
it's also the fact that getting the third tree will get him his clue, which may or may not pay off immediately. I mean, if you get the clue that the water veins and sunstone or the sunstones at my god, I butchered that sentence. You get the idea. You can't always act on your clues immediately, but I'm going to interrupt myself. Check out on the right side what Brynhold is doing. He is doing a rather rare sequence break, double bashing the Frankie in order to have him break into Grotto early. This is something you don't see very frequently.
Yeah, this is usually a big gamble because this is a huge sequence break.
It is. It's something that's well, I guess I do want to toss it to you. I hesitate to just say how do you feel about this sequence break, but like, what are some of the factors you think that might go into Brynhold making this decision as opposed to doing what Meldon's doing, which is the more traditional path? The seed definitely expects you to do what Meldon is doing because it gave you enough keystones.
I think Meldon is going for a much more conservative play. And I think the gamble to go into it is not a bad one, especially when you have double jump. Oh god, he's got glide, wind restored off the map stone.
That's
Yeah.
Incredibly nice. Again, that's something that, well, I was gonna say Meldon will definitely get. To be honest, I'm not so sure. Those aren't like buried pickups or anything, but those are pickups that Brynhold is going to have to come back for. And of note is that having... I missed it. It's Dash. Wow.
So you needed to come here to get Dash in order to go get Bash and Barrows. Amazing.
That's pretty cool. And with this, we do see Meldon sort of heading back up out of this area. Presumably, he's getting the one more experience orb above the charge flame tree. He does not have the ability to break blue walls yet, which means that he can't continue further to the left. So I'm guessing we'll see him do this and then go realistically over to Moon Grotto, maybe through the 4 energy door, if I had to guess. Or he might just say, I'm going to go... Nope, he is going to go through the 4 energy door.
I would not blame him for doing this. He's got the energy. He's got double jump. He's got bash. This is a really easy thing to get by. Though he is going to opt to go to the save point and get some health and energy back, which can you blame him? It's called Death Gauntlet for a reason.
It's a pretty smart play. I mean, Meldon is very, very low on health, and as with many things in Ori, if you just play perfectly, it's all fine. But Death Gauntlet is punishing enough that even a very, very small save would, or a small mistake, excuse me, could spell catastrophic. And Meldon is actually going to go one further. He opened up that 4 energy door for later use, but before beelining there immediately, since he had to take the time to go back to the Glades teleporter anyway. Meldon is just going to head down to this area, which is good news because we know what's down here. Glide is down here, and we also know that Meldon is definitely going to get wind restored with his experience. There's just no way he misses that.
And we have found the water vein over at the right XP pickup in Guma's hideout.
Now, this is very, very interesting. Whenever I'm watching Randomizer Seeds, I always like to try to take stock of what's happening at various points, just to kind of get an overall view of the race. At times, it can be difficult to definitively say in a randomizer race who is in the lead and who is behind. And I think that is accurate here. Meldon and Brynhold made different plays, but neither person has made a play that is difficult enough or strange enough that the other person won't be able to more easily catch up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Though I do think that Meldon made a slower play, but because he got dash, that's going to let him catch up very fast.
Well, more to the point, Meldon made a play that was in logic in order to get a skill tree. Meldon also has 1 health, killed his frog, and he's going to make what I believe to be the smart choice and reload.
Never kill that Frankie.
Yeah, he's reloading for 2 reasons. One is that he probably still wants to go for that play. Now, the second reason is that if we don't find Stomp or Charge Jump, then that Frankie might become extremely important. Yep, Meldon's just going to not bother a second time since he has the store anyway. But that's okay. Meldon got what mattered, which is Glide and Wind Restored. And the Valley TP. That's something that I don't know if Brynhold found yet.
He did not. He did not leave Barrows. He went straight on through to Guma's hideout. So that is something he may go back to eventually. It is at the start. But it's super nice because that means essentially Stomp could be over in Valley.
Stomp could be in a lot of places. This is a very interesting seed. We could talk at length about any number of these in individual pickups and keep going for a while. Like, to sort of touch back on my previous point as for who is in the lead and who's behind, Brynhold has the water vein, which feels like this enormous advantage, but the water vein is just chilling in a very easily accessible spot, accessible both because of Glide Wind Restored and because of double jump, wall jump. So that's something that Meldon will likely be getting just within the next minute or so here as he drops down. I guess he might go left side first, but that's definitely something Meldon will get. I guess it's worth pointing out, just to sort of be thorough, that having dash doesn't by itself grant Meldon access to much more in Grotto right now, except that it will let him traverse more quickly. So he's going through this area after Brynhold, but Meldon will be able to clear it faster than Brynhold did.
It's just going to help him his overall movement significantly, especially once he gets the charge dash.
That's right. I also want to draw quick attention to Brynhold. He has to do this save anywhere. He wants to do it anyway to continue to the left, but Brynhold would actually soft lock if he allowed himself to fall there, because he had previously effectively activated and removed the trigger at the bottom of that falling area.
Oh man, this game's giving a lot of map stones early on. That could say a lot if that ends up being the case, especially since we've had Wind Restored on, what was it, Mapstone 2?
Something like that. I'm really bad at tracking map stones. It was something like that, yeah. So with this, we sort of have a similar split as before. Brynhold having a little bit of trouble getting through this.
Meldon!
That's okay. That's going to be pretty quick for Meldon. This is one instance where our runners already have access to double jump, feather, bash glides to get a bunch of speed, right? Meldon has an additional advantage on top of that. Meldon has been... I mean, Brynhold has been doing the same, but you'll see these runners throughout the race utilizing what we generally call save scumming, which is a term you'll also see in pretty much any video game that allows users to make their own saves, right? The idea is that if you have to go into a faraway place and get a pickup, you can make a save in advance, go check the pickup, and then if that pickup wasn't valuable, you can reload your save and save the time it would take to run back. So Meldon, for example, on that orb down in Grotto, he tried to do that, but then the orb ended up being a mapstone, which is something that he wanted to keep, so he had to manually trek back.
Yeah, and if you've been watching any of the previous randomizers over the course of this week, uh, even if you don't know if it's going to pay off, you want to hang on to your mapstones. The game could just give you a stupid seed where, oh, Sunstone is a mapstone, and now you have to find out where they all are. And nobody wants to do that.
That's right. Brynhold trying to sort of pop down here. There's a little trick where you can open up the door using climb, but now he has to try to get down there. Good. Smart call. Rekindles his save. Brynhold will be able to check this pickup. It's nothing, and then he'll take the intentional death. I like that play by Brynhold. Even though the pickup didn't end up paying off, it's still a nice one-off to get out of the way, because if that had been something valuable, Brynhold would have a little bit more of a competitive advantage.
It's just good knowledge.
So I have to say, Ozzy, this is interesting so far. The seed has been quite generous, and I think both Meldon and Brynhold are playing it very, very well. They're making different routing decisions, but it's hard to say which one is correct. I guess Meldon, with the water vein there, is able to be a little bit more thorough than Brynhold was. But the thing I'm looking for most of all right now is the ability to break blue walls. I think that would be very valuable. It would open up a lot of pickups.
Yeah, though eventually Meldon can get charge dash, which would let him break several blue walls. That would be a sequence break in itself, but it would let him do things a lot more efficiently with the current skill set he has.
That certainly would be nice, and also a calculated play, if you will, to use my Rocket League terminology, from Meldon to go take out this mini-boss. This mini-boss is something that's a very, very likely candidate for skipping for most people, because it takes quite a while to beat, and it only wards a single pickup. In this seed, Meldon, I think, decided to take it out because with Bash, he can redirect projectiles and take it out very fast, and he just wants to be thorough. You never know when that could be the Sorrow Teleporter or, Stomp or something like that.
Yeah, it's usually the common rule to take on the mini-boss with at least some way to deal some massive damage to it. Otherwise, just poking it repeatedly with Sign is just a slow and tedious process.
You are not wrong. This is just so cool to watch too. We do see our runners in different areas. Brynhold checking this sort of left iceless area in Grove, which is something Meldon hasn't been to yet. Brynhold also heading through this Spider Coves area, Spider Pillars, whatever you want to call it. This is an area that Meldon hasn't been to because Meldon didn't have the ability to progress to the right from the Charge Flame tree. So Brynhold is coming to this area from the other side. I'm guessing we'll see him do a bunch of double bashes. And I guess, before I forget, we should probably mention that Brynhold in his notes told us that he will be doing manual double bashes, which is, I think, just sort of noteworthy.
Yeah, and it's not to say that, it gives him any particular advantage. It's just something that he feels comfortable with doing. And especially for people that come from all skills, using the quote-unquote free double bashing can sometimes get you to be rusty.
It's always just down to runner preference. Brynhold, I think, maybe tried to skip a cutscene there. It's going to play regardless. Brynhold will not be able to check everything here. He doesn't have Grenade. He does have 4 energy. And from experience, this 4 energy door, it might be confirmation bias, but it seems to always have something valuable, except for today. Apparently, it only has 30 experience.
No, this is a normal seed, whatever that means.
My eyes keep flipping back and forth, dude. There's exciting stuff happening on both sides, and I'm very curious to see who is going to find. Well, I was going to say who's going to.
It seems like the play is going to have to be Genso. They have access to it. They have double jump. They have bash. It's fully completable.
Well, it is, but so is Stomp, and Meldon found the Valley Teleporter, so is Left Side. He doesn't have Stomp, but he can do fast Stompless. He can get quite far with the Glide, Wind Restored, double jump, wall jump. I'm guessing that he's going to stay on the right side for a while because the right side tends to be rather dense. Yep, and here Meldon is doing his Swamp entry to get into Swamp. Messed it up once, but that's why you make the safety save to respawn Ringo. Just having a little bit of trouble with it.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised Brynhold was making the play into Ginso. He was going over checking in Spider Sack area, which is something people might pass up on if they have full access to Ginso. But I think he was kind of hoping on finding Dash because he knows Dash was blocking Bash, and Bash clearly lets you full clear Ginso.
It does, but so does well, double jump doesn't let you full clear Ginso, but double jump lets you get pretty far as well. So it would be difficult for Brynhold2 to be specifically looking for Dash. I mean, he wouldn't complain if he found it, obviously, but Dash could be not anywhere. Like you said, it can't be somewhere that you needed Bash to get to, but Dash could be in a lot of locations.
Yeah, I'm just saying that as following the logic because if you can narrow down the location of where Dash is an incredibly useful and powerful skill.
It absolutely is. So again, this is sort of cool. We see the split on either side. As always, the runners can't watch each other, so they have no idea how the other person is doing. But Brynhold is heading through the Ginso tree. He won't be able to check everything along the way because he can't break plants. Meldon also can't break plants, so whenever he goes through these areas, he's having to skip a few pickups.
Meldon has charge jump now.
Oh, does he? Did I miss that?
I think he has it.
Cool. Well, that's useful for Meldon. We did see Meldon. I believe he's going left side. It's possible I missed that wrong. Experienced runners of this game, you never have the map screen open for long. Yep, here Meldon is on the left side. He doesn't have Stomp, which is actually very valuable for him because when you're in Valley, the Kuro kill plane is inactive when you don't have Stomp. It's not in logic to abuse that fact, but Meldon is not going to concern himself with petty concerns like logic.
Brynhold poking down mini boss over in Ginso. I'm surprised he didn't use Bash there, but maybe there's just something I'm not familiar with that boss and just using Bash.
It might just be as simple as familiarity for him. We have to check with him later on. Meldon, by the way, just launched a shot for Fast Stompless. He's going to try to grab the cell at the same time. Did not get Fast Stompless, so he'll just have to head up there and try again, or more intelligently.
Oh since he my goodness! There's the Sunstone.
See, this is something, again, I feel like I'm being strangely negative this seed, but like, I don't mean to curb everyone's excitement. Finding the Sunstone is exciting, but that's also something that Meldon will definitely find when he gets into Ginso, you know what I mean?
It's something he's guaranteed to pick up. The pickups along the way to the Bash tree in Ginso are all very quick, very efficient routing pickups. There's almost no reason to check them.
So I want to ask you something else. Brynhold is deciding to continue in Ginso, but we know that that's never necessarily required, right? I mean, you might have progression in the second half, but it's never an area that you have to go to, if that makes sense. So I do think that I like this play by Brynhold. There's sort of an ongoing, not a debate exactly, but a discussion about whether, generally speaking, it's worth it to continue up the second half of the Ginso tree past Bash. It's a very dense area.
Yeah, and Meldon is making the play into Valley, and he is going into Sorrow.
We keep using the word smart, but I mean, I do like these plays by Meldon. Meldon, as we said, is an extremely experienced rando player and very skilled. He's actually the person who played, I'm going to interrupt myself, Brynhold just found Charge Flame. That's going to be pretty valuable, maybe not crucial, but it's certainly nice. Brynhold can now break plants. Meldon can too, but now Brynhold can since he hasn't found Dash.
And he is going to go use that Charge Flame, go to Charge Flame tree, get his Dash, and he is going to be caught up. Though I'm not surprised by Meldon's play at all here. This is going to let him key dupe, which is very handy considering the amount of keys he is currently holding. And this is also going to give him some knowledge. Because right now, he is... We know where Sunstone is. He doesn't.
That's true. And I want to just take a moment about something you just said. You just mentioned that Brynhold is going to catch up. Brynhold will find Dash, which is very nice. In terms of being caught up, if you look at that skill wheel, Brynhold has made it into Ginso and into the Bash tree. That's something that Meldon hasn't done. But in the meantime, Meldon has made it all the way up to Charge Jump. He's made it to Feather, and he's made it to Stomp. So Meldon will also be able to make it to Climb without too much trouble. He'll have to do some some trickery with the frog down in Blackroot in order to get to Light Grenade, but that's something Meldon will be comfortable with as well, although knowing him, he won't be doing it first. Yeah, I think he wants to go to Ginso, but without the Swamp TP, he has to teleport to Grotto first.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it is the last clue for Sunstone, so I would not be surprised if he leaves Ginso last at this rate.
Well, the thing is that what are Meldon's considerations? I mean, we can't read Meldon's mind, but he has a number of considerations. He would like to find Stomp or Charge Jump because, and actually, this is kind of perfect timing. Take a look at what Brynhold is doing on the right side of the screen. He's doing what we generally call the reverse Frankie Walk, named after another trick in this game called just the regular Frankie Walk, I suppose. Brynhold is baiting this Frankie in order to break a barricade to get into the Light Grenade area. This is something that Meldon knows how to do, and he is very comfortable doing it. But Meldon knows that he has options as to where to go first. So I'm guessing that part of his decision-making is that he wants to go somewhere where he might happen to find Stomp and avoid having to do this trick at all. So that could be part of his decision-making. We can't know for sure, but I'm guessing it is with someone at his experience level.
But he is making his way into the Ginso tree, so this is going to be probably one of the biggest defining moments in this race, is if he finds the Sunstone.
I think that he probably will, to be honest. I mean, Meldon has two choices. Any runner in Meldon's situation has some choices. It's you don't have the clue for Sunstone. So like you said, Meldon doesn't know that it's in the Ginso tree, so he could decide to just rush trees and not check anything else at all until he gets the Sunstone clue and then come back. Or he could choose to continue checking pickups and just hope for the best. And we'll just have to see what Meldon decides to do. It's also worth pointing out that Ginso is an area specifically where it is maybe a little bit more common to check things on the way up, because it's sort of a pain to have to go through it again. Does that sound all reasonable to you?
I mean, it's a long climb. Warp return.
It is. Meldon also has dash, though, and double jump and wall jump and bash, so this is not a difficult climb. It's time-consuming just because of the size of the area, but it won't be too difficult for Meldon. And given that he went the bottom route, it does look like Meldon is going for the completionist approach, which means that it's pretty likely Meldon will find Sunstone along the way. And once he finds it, Ozzy, what's left for Meldon?
Let's see. He has bash. He has dash. He doesn't have... Can he break the objects that he needs to break in escape? That's my thought right now.
He can with charge dashes, and he has enough energy to do so.
Yeah, so yeah, I think he has everything he needs to finish this game in terms of skills.
I think you're right, and it is sort of interesting. You hit a point in any seed where you have to start thinking about, can I finish the seed, rather than just what am I looking for? Like, do I need to find anything else, or am I just in go mode?
Yeah, he's got 5 health, he's got ultra defense, he's good.
Yeah, and what about Brynhold? If we take a look at his skills, Brynhold has actually more than Meldon. He has everything Meldon has, plus Charge Flame, so he'll be able to break the walls in the final escape even easier, but Brynhold also has to go do a lot more of the left side of the map. Yep, there's the Sunstone for Meldon. I'm sure Meldon will be breathing a sigh of relief, since he does already know that the Sunstone clue is going to be last.
Yeah, he is affectionately in go mode right now. Both technically are. Brynhold, though, is still missing a couple trees behind.
Well, this is interesting. He has a couple trees. Well, he has a couple trees different. Meldon has been to Feather, and he's been to Charge Jump, but Brynhold has already been to Light Grenade. So Brynhold has to go left side and just finish the left side. It will be very easy and fast for him. He can get through Misty, no problem. He can get through Sorrow, no problem. And he'll be able to get Feather, no problem as well.
Yeah.
Especially without Stomp.
I don't want to say there is a lead, but I can definitely feel like Meldon has a slight advantage on here, mostly just because of how long he's had dash and he's been able to traverse faster for longer.
I would actually go one further and say that, in my opinion, Meldon definitely has a lead at this point. I mean, Meldon only has 2 trees to go. Brynhold has 3 trees to go, but Meldon is already halfway through Misty Woods. He is going to have to do that reverse Frankie walk, unless he happens to find Stomp. We'll see. But if he doesn't find Stomp, Meldon's going to have to do the reverse Frankie walk as well. So
Stomp
that's
or-
going to be a little bit time-consuming, but not too bad.
Stomp or charge jump. He does have climb.
That's right. We also saw Brynhold do a key dupe. There are lots and lots of locations in Nibel where you can do key dupes. That one that Brynhold did is a little bit on the slow end, but Brynhold just wanted to make sure that he had enough keystones.
Oh, that's right. Brynhold has not found Valley Teleporter. He has to do this the slow way.
Yeah, that's another aspect that factors into, again, neither runner knows where the other one is, but I think that Meldon is probably going to win this. It's possible that Meldon has a lot of trouble with the reverse Frankie walk, but it doesn't seem very likely. So I guess we'll see. Brynhold also just had a mistake with his Froggy doing this trick to get into Valley.
Yeah, this can be a little testy with how the Frankie loves to hop and hop and hop.
It's kind of curious. Like in the traditional Frankie walk, the Frankie is immune to damage from the brambles, but not here. It will die in 1 hit, so you have to be very careful that it doesn't touch those spikes.
But he gets through. And here is Meldon's turn to do a Frankie escort mission, and is getting it killed repeatedly, which is to be honest, really easy to do.
It is, and as we've seen, each failed attempt is not very costly. Meldon made a safety save directly above for exactly this reason. It should be clear, by the way, how valuable this Frankie is, and why you pretty much, we joke, but really it's not a joke at all. Never ever kill that Frankie unless you already have the floor broken, or unless you already have Stomp. Because, I mean, just to make it very, very clear, if Meldon didn't have this frog alive, Meldon would have no choice. There's no other way to get down here, except for either using this Frankie, well, I guess he could use Bash, but he would reasonably have to search for Stomp or Charge Jump, which could be almost anywhere at this point.
All right. Finally, Meldon has gotten the Frankie on top of the Crushers near the teleporter, and oh, he killed it! Ooh.
Yeah, there are multiple methods. The dash method is kind of more common if you have dash. Using bashing to get this guy up top is difficult because he's not that strong, and so just a handful of bashes will kill him. So you do have to be very careful. Like, I don't know if Meldon can bash this frog a second time. He's going to just make sure it gets way over the spikes. Run away so it doesn't short hop good. So Meldon should be okay. There is one more set of brambles over here that Meldon's going to have to be a little bit careful with, but this one is easier to have the Frankie jump over than some of the others.
Yeah. All I can imagine is he's thinking to himself, please don't screw this. Please don't screw this up. Okay.
Yeah,
and he saves. I mean, please save. See, that's exactly why you save.
Always save in this area. That's Randomizer 101. Make saves and don't die if you can help it. To check in with Brynhold, Brynhold is heading into Sorrow as well. This is pretty much going to follow in the footsteps of his opponent from earlier. Brynhold has dash, which means that he has rocket jump, so he will have no issue getting through this. Brynhold also did his key dupes in advance, whereas Meldon did his key dupes in this Dorito Cave here. Although I think Brynhold's going to do some additional key duping. He just made the save. Maybe he wasn't...
Yeah, he made a mistake, unfortunately.
That's okay, and we actually see Brynhold... Go ahead.
Yeah, Brynhold is booting up a previous save. One of the nice features of this game.
It is, to be honest, it's not sometimes as reliable as you'd like, but it did work out this time. So Brynhold is having some issues. He only has 1 energy trying to get over and dupe some keystones. I'm sure Brynhold is... Well, no, he actually doesn't need any more keystones except for the 4. Or I should say, once he opens this door, he doesn't need any more. He's
already got Swamp, so...
Yep. He'll also be using the frog shot, which phased through the floor. He has to use the frog because Brynhold doesn't have either climb, charge jump, or Stomp. But while we've been talking, look at where Meldon is. He teleported back to Swamp and is just dashing to the left and up and around. Meldon is in his end game for this seed. It won't take him much longer to get to the end.
Yeah, unfortunately, probably the biggest time loss for Brynhold compared to Meldon was Meldon finding the Valley Teleporter.
I guess we can talk to our runners. Like, I could ask you questions about, what was what did you think the mistakes were, but I think I'd rather hold off. And we'll see if Meldon and Brynhold would like to talk to us. I mean, Meldon is heading into Horu. We can count his door-up attempts. When Brynhold is finished as well, we'll see if he would like to chat to us. I mean, Meldon, we'll have to check with him as well, but Brynhold is not going to take much longer either. It's just that I don't think that he has the capacity to catch up to Meldon. Meldon, I think, pulled off a first try door warp there. Sometimes we meme about that, but that was a legitimate first try door warp.
I only meme about it because I'm jealous.
It is a hard trick. I mean, it's a very commonplace trick. It's not a complicated trick. It's just a very well-timed
It's also
one.
at the end of the run, so you're just naturally nervous by the time you're getting to it.
Look at what Brynhold's doing, by the way. He's not doing a fast stompless attempt. He's actually bringing this up. And there's actually another backup Brynhold could be doing, but I don't know where he is in order to make it work. Brynhold pulling off these manual double bashes. Nailed it. Nice job.
Yeah, this is the strat I'd like to do because I'm not as confident as some other people, more seasoned runners with fast stompless. So this is a completely, almost 100% reliable way to do this without stomp.
Well,
especially when you don't have. Wait, he has.
I want to kind of interrupt you. Sorry, I want to kind of interrupt you. Meldon is almost done with this fight. We haven't even been talking about it because Meldon has just been making it through here so easily. Did spawn Kuro, but that doesn't matter. He has enough abilities to make it through. Reminder that Meldon can't do a rocket jump at the end. He doesn't have the requisite abilities, so he's just going to get to the end. We almost didn't even need to commentate that because Meldon is such a good runner. With his skill set, this final escape was just it stood no chance against him, to put it lightly.
Yep, and GG to Meldon. Looks like he's going to finish this time with just a little bit over 39 minutes.
Yeah, it'll be just a little over 40, I think. It'll still be a very, very solid time for this seed. Again, we could start picking apart Meldon's play, but I'd rather hold off and let him talk about that himself. So we'll kind of keep an eye on Meldon. He'll be holding right, and then his timer will stop when he loses control of Naru. Same rule set as all skills in that regard. Brynhold, meanwhile, is onto his last tree of the game. He successfully traversed Sorrow to get to charge jump. He picked up Feather using a rather unorthodox method, but he made it work. And he's just going to hit the climb tree momentarily. So Brynhold is not going to have a bad time either on this seed. Maybe we'll be a little bit disappointed to see Meldon finishing just a few minutes ahead of him.
Yeah. I don't blame him for maybe forgetting a couple things, especially with a seed like this. This was a very, very nice seed. A lot of convenient skills. The keys were in very, very nice locations. So in his mind, he's thinking, oh man, I need to buckle down and start making big plays.
Yeah, well, GG to Meldon, a final time of 39:56. That's a solid time. I thought it was going to be over 40. I was wrong. That was sub 40. Not that that particular distinction really matters, but that's kind of nice to see. Kind of a nice round number to be below. So yeah, GG to him. That will be Meldon's win. This is just the first... we are still on our 0-0 Swiss round, so this pairing between Meldon and Brynhold was decided randomly in a custom seed that Meldon actually played this past weekend, so that's kind of a fun bit of trivia. That was a fun reveal show, I think.
Yeah, it was. It was especially nice when, well, I won't spoil it if anybody hasn't seen it.
I mean that the spoiling would be in the pairings. Known, but...
True, but dang, there's some good moments.
There are. Well, speaking of good moments, Brynhold has made it to Horu. I want to emphasize, I mean, Brynhold is still a very skilled player. He's been described, I saw someone in chat, I think maybe Muffin mentioned him as terrifying, and I would agree with that assessment. So I'm guessing that Meldon, despite being an extremely formidable player himself, I'm guessing Meldon will feel, relief knowing that he pulled away with the victory. Brynhold pulling off his own first try door warp. So double first try this seed. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I will have to say this much, especially with some of the last seeds we've had in this tournament so far, this was a nice breath of fresh air, reminding us that, hey, sometimes the randomizer isn't completely awful.
It's usually not awful. Yeah, sometimes it's a gradient scale of very, very nice to very, very far less than nice. So Brynhold is into his escape. Doesn't have charge jump, so he won't be able to do this escape in exactly the same way as all skills. Also doesn't have charge jump or grenade in order to do grenade jumps. But Brynhold has charge flame, he has charge dashes, He has plenty of health. He has plenty of energy. I assume that he probably has ultra defense. I didn't pay close enough attention, but I assume that he has it.
He has to have it, honestly. And with Bash and the fact that he has 7 health, yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, I was going to say even if he doesn't have it. Okay, he actually doesn't have it, but that's okay. You can survive this swim with only 5 health. 6 is better. 7 is even better than that. Brynhold also spawned Kuro, same as Meldon.
Oh!
And, yep, fire is still hot.
Very hot. Yeah, that spot of fire right there catches even the most seasoned players off guard, because you really don't take that path.
Well, it's actually interesting, and this might be what Brynhold is going for. There are multiple ways to despawn Kuro in that last room, and ordinarily you do it with Charge Jump or with Bash Grenade or something like that. You can actually despawn him with only Feather. There's like a spot you can stand and just float up high enough to float over his trigger, even without any other, Charge Jump or Bash Grenade or anything like that. I don't know if Brynhold is aware of that. Even if he's not, it doesn't really matter. I mean, he'll be able to get through this just fine. Nope, he is aware of it, and there he does it.
And we're probably just going to see him go ahead and bash his way up to the top and finish this seed.
GG to Brynhold. Cool, so we have our results. Meldon will be going 1-0 in his Swiss round. We are still in our first round of Swiss. We have several more matches over the next few days to finish out the Swiss round, and then we'll be getting into the next round of Swiss, I believe, next week. But that's in the future, to focus on the present. I do want to see if we can get one or both of our runners in for an interview. As always, it's up to runner preference, whether they would like to talk. If they want to, great. If they don't, that's okay too. But I do see Meldon there, so Ozzy, I think I'll toss back to you for a moment while I verify with Meldon.
All right. So, yes, up next, coming up shortly, we have Mad Insane versus Hydra. That should be exciting.
It would. We'll talk about that later. I want to pull in Meldon right now.
All right, good.
Hey, Meldon.
Hello.
GG, dude. How are you feeling?
My heart is racing right now. But pretty much since I was down in BRB doing the Frankie walk, I've just been thinking he should have finished by now. He should have finished by now.
I guess that kind of answers my own question. I mean, were you worried with getting double jump and dash and everything right away that he was going to be ahead of you?
Of course. It felt like everything was in fairly obvious locations or even just at trees. So it felt like a very fast seed.
It was very fast.
I'm almost struggling to think of questions, to be honest, Meldon, because, and maybe this is a question in itself, it felt like a lot of the routing in that seed was quite linear for a lot of it. Do you agree with that?
Definitely. I think the only thing that wasn't linear was the end game, picking kind of which locations you go to at the very end.
And what were your considerations in your routing in the end game?
I didn't want to do any revisits, but you sometimes just can't avoid those. So Ginso and Misty were definitely going to be the last two.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you this. Kind of one of the biggest divergences early on after you all went through burrows, after clearing through Spirit Caverns and Wall Jump area, was you decided to go back to Spirit Caverns, use the 4-key stone door, and you found Ash at Sea Flame Tree.
Yeah, so I think going for like a quick Sea Flame Tree, just knocking that off always makes sense there. There's a chance at something good. There's not a lot of things that really speed it up. And I don't know, it's always nice to have that teleport later if you need it.
Yeah, your opponent decided to just stick with it, and he sequence broke into Guma's hideout.
Okay.
Because of this, eventually, you just got enough energy and were like, okay, let's go through 4 energy door to Swamp. He did not, and as such, he never found the Valley Teleporter.
Oh no. Where was that again?
That was at Frankie Walk pickup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you went through the energy door in Brynhold.
That's rough.
Yeah. So Meldon, Yeah, that was just super clean. I kind of want to ask, and this is something I like to ping people about when they're in both the singles and the doubles tournament. With this Swiss match out of the way, you have nothing until I think it's Sunday. Is your doubles match? I was just checking.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you think, if in any ways, your practice differs between the two of them?
I haven't been practicing for singles. I've played a couple of clue seeds in the past couple weeks, but it's been pretty much all shards.
All shards.
Considering the beast that shards is and just the communication aspect, I don't entirely blame you.
Sure. Well, Ozzy, any other questions from Meldon? That was just a very clean seed. It's sort of very satisfying to watch. I'm sure it must have been fun to play as well.
Yeah, Meldon, you're currently now going in 1-0. How do you feel about from what you've seen of the winners thus far? Any particular person you feel like, oh man, I'm excited to play against this person, or oh man, I really hope I don't play against this person?
I think it'd be kind of fun to play against Oshi. We do co-op Borderlands 2 together, so I know him quite well, and it could be a fun matchup. I think we're fairly close in skill.
Cool. Well, I hope it turns out that way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks for chatting with us. And GG again on your win, Brynhold. I know you're not here speaking with us. That sounds so dark, but GG as well. Yeah. Nice job. And we are going to have another match coming up. Not right away. It'll be at the next half hour. What is that? 5:30 Eastern, I think.
I believe so. Yes, 5:30 Eastern. So give it another 35 minutes from now, and we will have this up and running.
That's right. That match upcoming, like I said, we do have a bit of a break here, so go get a snack, whatever it is, but come back. That match is going to be between Mad, Insane, and Hydra. We won't talk much more about that. That's the job of our commentators for the next match. But otherwise, any last thoughts, Ozzy?
Who likes coffee? Anybody? Okay,
I'm actually not a coffee person, to be honest.
Dang.
Sorry.
I got nothing else. We're done for this afternoon. Enjoy the next match coming up, folks. See you there.
Yeah, we'll see you. Oh, and thanks to Tara for restreaming this, and thanks to Griffs and Grease for helping us out in the truck feeding us information. I always like to try to remember to do that. We will see you all soon.